those who partake in dragon communion will one day shed their humanity, unleashing the strength of a mighty dragon along with eternal torment. Following Yura's instruction will lead the Tarnished to the Church of Dragon Communion, where dragon hearts can be consumed to learn special incantations. Incantations that grant the ability to mimic the dragon's flames and claws, acting as proof of the work done by a new dragon tracker. The next area that the Erdtree's grace will guide the Tarnished towards is Liurnia of the Lakes. Here, countless green and blue crystals classified as glintstones can be found scattered throughout the shallow waters. Golden amber is described to contain the remnants and vitality of ancient life, and with glintstones being the amber of the cosmos, it holds the vitality of the stars, and allows one to cast the spells taught by the Academy of Raya Lucaria. Students need a special key to grant entrance into the Academy, one of which can be found by a meeting place of now-deceased sorcerers. However, this key is guarded by the sleeping glintstone dragon Smaragd. His abilities are mostly identical to that of Agheel, but instead of breathing regular fire, he breathes a blue glintstone-tinted flame. Smaragd was a devourer of sorcerers, and over time his body became corrupted by glintstones. These crystals embedded in the armor and weapons of the Raya Lucarian sorcerers are the reason for Smaragd's hide being covered with glintstone, to the point where it almost seems parasitic. Though, even after Smaragd's defeat, other glintstone dragons can still be discovered. Behind Caria Manor lies the Three Sisters, where the glintstone dragon Agila resides. Much like Smaragd, Agila breathes a glintstone breath and is covered in crystals. But the color of Agila's glintstone is a much deeper shade of blue. Agila also has abilities beyond that of Agheel and Smaragd, as shown by the usage of her homing crystals and a spectral blade of ice. Before the Tarnished can defeat this dragon, however, Agila flies away and magically vanishes into the sky. This fight will need to be finished another time. After chasing off Agila, the Tarnished comes face to face with the Lunar Princess Ranni. She opposes the Erdtree and the Golden Order, but her fate is tied to the stars, which are being held in stasis by the one known as the Star Scourge, General Radahn. Ranni's war counselor Iji reasons that if General Radahn were defeated, the stars would once again resume their movement and restore Ranni's fate. This means that the next step is to find and kill General Radahn in the rot-infested lands of Caelid. Here lies the Dragon Barrow, where the elder dragon Grail is being protected by what seems to be her offspring. This massive creature's roar weakens the Tarnished and strengthens nearby dragons, but it's not capable of doing much more than that. Killing the surrounding dragons will cause Grail to die, and likewise defeating Grail herself will kill all of the surrounding dragons, with both outcomes granting a total of 5 of their hearts. Grail is described as the mother of all dragons, which makes sense as her anatomy closely matches that of every dragon previously seen. This also includes the flying dragon Grail, whose nearby location and similar name to Grail both suggest some sort of close relation. Yet one exception to this trend exists in the Church of the Dragon Communion, where the corpse of something with a different type of head, wings, and claws can be found. But we'll touch on that subject again a bit later. In the southern region of Caelid, a dragon named Exekies guards a distant building. While Exekies resembles the other dragons, his body is completely covered in rot and wounds. The scarlet rot of Caelid is shown to infect almost all forms of life that come into contact with it. And while Grail and her kin seem to be mostly unaffected, Exekies wasn't as fortunate. Instead of breathing any type of fire, he breathes a rotten fog that reflects his state of decay and disease. Exekies is also described as the Dragon Communion Revenger, and he did not forget his hatred even as he succumbed to the Scarlet Rot. It is likely that most dragons condemned the practice of Dragon Communion, as it requires their hearts to be harvested and consumed as a part of that ritual. After his defeat, we see that Exekies was actually guarding a second location of where Dragon Communion was practiced. Much like the church in Limgrave, this cathedral houses the corpse of a stone dragon with unique anatomy, along with something that resembles a baptismal font, filled with a bright red liquid. Here, the Tarnished gains access to new incantations, including the signature abilities of each major dragon previously defeated. As of now, this includes Agiel's Flame, Smaragd's Glintstone Breath, Grail's Roar, and Exeki's Decay. However, these special incantations can cost 2 or 3 dragon hearts each. So while the Tarnished should have 9 hearts by now, it would cost a total of 15 hearts to learn every spell. A new source of dragon hearts will be needed. Luckily, the creatures known as magma worms hold these needed hearts. These worms somewhat resemble the dragons, but their scales are darker, their heads are flatter, and they have arms separate from their wings. Additionally, the worms show the ability to spew magma and wield a massive greatsword. One of these worms can be found in Caelid, another 2 are found around Mount Gelmir, and a 4th named worm guards one of the entrances to the Altus Plateau. This is Magma Worm Makar, who is classified as a great enemy. Upon its defeat, Makar drops the Magma Worm Scale Sword, which explains that these land-bound dragons were once humans who partook in Dragon Communion, a grave transgression for which they were cursed to crawl the earth upon their bellies, just a shadow of their former selves. Now, with enough hearts to buy nearly every Dragon Communion spell, the eyes of the Tarnished may now glow yellow and reptilian. At this point, their fate is likely sealed, as yet another who would be cursed to become a magma worm. For those who seek to know every draconic spell, a few more dragon hearts will be required. If you'll remember, the glintstone dragon Agila is still alive, and in order to find it, we must continue to follow Ronnie's quest. Upon defeating General Radahn, a path to the eternal city of Nokron will be opened in Limgrave. After traveling through Nokron, providing Ronnie with a weapon capable of slaying the Two Fingers, and passing through the second eternal city of Nokstella, the Tarnished will reach the southern plateau of Liurnia. 4 glintstone dragons reside here, 3 of which will drop 1 heart each. The 4th is none other than Agila, who now fights to the death, as if there's something here worth protecting. In addition to 3 dragon hearts, Agila will drop their signature Moonblade sorcery upon defeat, which describes how Agila, a devourer of sorcerers, was bested by Ronnie, and subsequently swore a knightly oath to her dark moon. This answers why Agila was found outside of Ronnie's Rise and the Cathedral of Manicelis. These are both locations where Ronnie the Witch can be found, and Agila has taken a vow to protect Ronnie and follow the wisdom of the Dark Moon, which acted as the guide to the countless stars. With 6 new dragon hearts, the Tarnished should have more than enough to learn every signature incantation of the dragons, and can now proceed onward to the Altus Plateau. If the Tarnished proceeds through the rune-strewn precipice where Magma Worm Makar was defeated, they are likely to have an encounter with the ancient dragon Lanisax. Swooping in and attacking near a site of abandoned coffins, Lanisax is noticeably larger and more powerful than most dragons that have yet to be found. Her appearance is also unique, but looking back at the stone corpses found in the Dragon Communion Church and Cathedral, we'll see that they all share the same anatomy. Lanisax demonstrates the ability to control red lightning, but similarly to Adula, she flies away before she can be defeated. Fortunately, the nearby royal capital Leyendell holds plenty of clues to the true nature of the ancient dragons. For example, the weapons used by the Draconic Tree Sentinels are described to be whittled from the claws of a great ancient dragon, and since these are enwreathed with lightning, they tear through the dragon's feeble descendants with ease. This shows why Grail is described as the mother of all dragons, but has a different anatomy compared to the stone corpses and Lanisax. While the ancient dragons had scales of gravel stone, wielded lightning as their weapon, and had a pair of arms separate from their forewings, Grail would be the mother to a modern, weaker generation of dragons that lacked these traits, who would instead possess different types of elemental breath. While within the walls of Leyendell, another ancient dragon corpse that rivals the enormity of Grail lies across the city's architecture. This was Granisax, who once rained calamity upon the royal capital, the only time in historical record that Leyendell's walls have fallen. This marked the dawn of the war against the ancient dragon. The forces of Leyendell, along with Godfrey's Crucible Knights, would retaliate against Granisax's assault, culminating in a fight where Godwyn the Golden defeated the ancient dragon Fortisax and befriended his fallen foe, which was an event that gave rise to the ancient dragon cult within the capital. Lanisax, who was the sister of Fortisax, would come to support this newfound group. It is said that she took on the form of a human to commune with the knights as a priestess of the ancient dragon cult. Members of this cult were able to channel the red lightning of the dragons, and in some cases, those loved by the dragons could survive cladding their entire bodies in lightning. Vike, who was a knight of the Round Table Hold, even learned special incantations of his own. Of all the knights, Vike the Dragon Spear was the one that Lanisax loved the most. We never get to see Lanisax's human form, but she can be found for a second fight near the capital's rampart side path. While defeating her grants the incantation of her signature red lightning glaive attack, Lanisax does not give up a dragon heart, adding another layer of separation between the ancient and modern dragons.
As owner of Mint Mobile, I always want to find ways to save you money. So let's meet the barely paid spokesperson for the new Mint family plan, my mom.
You look thin, sweetheart. Are you eating?
Okay, let's focus. Stick to the script there. Right there.
The new Mint family plan is only $15 a month per person.
And the other line right there?
Just one of the many reasons I love Ryan more than his dumb brother, Terry.
Okay, cut please. Perfect. Moving on. You suck, Terry.
I have a challenge for all of you. Go to every computer in your house, your mom's, your dad's, your sister, your brother's computer, and install Honey. Wait, Mom, before you check out, do you have Honey installed?
What's Honey?
Oh, no. It's a free browser add-on that automatically applies coupon codes when you check out online.
So what's the catch?
There is no catch. My mom wants to buy these 3 jackets online. They cost $639. Before you check out, Mom, can you just open a new tab and then type in joinhoney.com. Now just click Add to Chrome. Perfect, now hit apply coupon code. Give Honey 5 seconds and boom, it found a coupon code for $221. We're literally about to check out without Honey. That is a sin. Install Honey. It's free and only takes 2 clicks to install. There's no reason not to go to joinhoney.com right now on every computer in your house.
To understand what became of Lanisax's sibling, Fortisax, we must first explore the history of Godwyn the Golden. This demigod was the offspring of Queen Marika and Elden Lord Godfrey. Long ago, a fragment of the Rune of Death was stolen in what was known as the Night of the Black Knives, and with it, the Black Knives planned to create a rune of their own. They were able to catch Godwyn and begin to curve out this rune on his back. But before this process was completed, another demigod perished at the same time, breaking the curse mark into 2 half wheels. Because of this, Godwin died in soul alone. Now his disfigured, half-dead corpse lies at the root of the Erd Tree, and has since become the source of Deathblight, Deathroot, and those who live in death. However, a few characters, such as the deathbed companion Fia and sorcerer Roger, seek to normalize those who live in death, and to do so, they must restore both half-wheels of the curse mark that the Black Knives intended to create. The Tarnished can choose to help with these goals, ultimately leading to a moment where Fia's deathbed dream can be entered by the base of Godwin's corpse. This initiates a fight with the Lich Dragon Fortisax, who has now been corrupted by Godwin's Deathblight. Instead of the standard lightning strikes used by Lanisax, Fortisax utilizes Death Lightning, a corrupted version of the golden lightning that was wielded by Godwin. While Lanisax was known for her glaive of red lightning, Fortisax's twin red lightning stakes were the hallmark of the ancient dragon who was called the mightiest Boulder Stone. It's not entirely clear why Fortisax is inside the deathbed dream, but after Godwin the Golden became the Prince of Death, the ancient dragon fought long and hard against the death within its companion. Unfortunately, victory was never achieved, and its only reward was corruption. Much like Lanisax, Fortisax's death does not yield a dragon heart, reinforcing that this trait is only shared by the modern dragons and the magma worms. As the Tarnished proceeds beyond Leyendell and into the mountaintops of the Giants, there's one final modern dragon to be defeated. Borealis, the Freezing Fog, can be found hidden within a blizzard on the frozen lake. Borealis is classified as one of the ice dragons who were once lords of the mountaintops long ago, until they were defeated by the fire giants and chased from the peak. Despite this, Borealis remains in the mountains, and several outside forces have since banded together and defeated the fire giants, including another who borrowed the power of the dragons. The Elden Lord Godfrey led the war against the giants, and other forces such as the Heroes of Zamor and the Sorcerers of the Briar helped in this battle. However, one particular group opposed the giants from within. The trolls, who were descended from the giants, were lesser giants who fought for the Erd Tree during the war against the giants long ago. Perhaps the most notable of these was the ancient troll warrior Theodorix, whose name lives on as a hero. However, a magma worm called Great Worm Theodorix lives deep within the consecrated snowfield. While Theodorix is the strongest of the magma worms and drops triple the normal amount of dragon hearts, his fate acts as proof that even the strongest warriors can fall victim to the temptation of the dragon's power. Time and time again, we see that attempting to control this power ends in ruin. Godric, who viewed the dragons as trueborn heirs to the throne, fails to defeat a singular Tarnished after grafting the head of a dragon onto himself. Eleonora, who was considered a hero, partook in dragon communion, but her pursuit of power led her to the madness of the Bloody Fingers. Even the Eternal Cities made an attempt to create dragons of their own, but the Dragonkin never knew a true sky nor true lightning, and while they were able to wield ice lightning, they never attained immortality, and perished as a decrepit, pale imitations of their skyborn kin. The only exception to this trend was the Dragon Cult, who defied this fate by being blessed and loved by the dragons themselves.
With YouTube Premium's background play, you can keep watching the hottest music videos, even while texting your hubby. Get YouTube Premium. All YouTube, no interruptions.
Nearing the end of their journey, the Tarnished will later arrive in crumbling Fair Amazula. Countless dragons can be seen circling this floating mausoleum, marking this as their true home. In addition to the ancient dragons, the ruins of Fair Amazula are home to the Azula Beastmen. These ruins are said to be the remains of a giant mausoleum enshrining an ancient dragon, guarded by chosen beastmen who wield weapons clad in lightning. While this Dragon Lord is nowhere to be found, their importance is made clear by certain artifacts found around Fair Amazula. One example is their scales that also happen to be scattered throughout this area. The ancient Dragon Lord's seat is said to lie beyond time, and this stone lightly twists with time. The Drake Talisman describes how the ancient dragons, who ruled in the prehistoric era before the Erd Tree, would protect their lord as a wall of living rock. This also is shown within the walls of Fair Amazula itself, which appear to be partially made from the stone bodies of ancient dragons. These corpses also contain traces of gold, explaining why the Erd Tree's forces were so willing to form the ancient dragon cult. The worship of the ancient dragons does not conflict with belief in the Erd Tree. After all, gravel stones and lightning itself are both imbued with gold. There's also a hidden talisman that depicts an old lord with 2 wings and 4 dragon heads. Whoever this dragon was, it seems like they were at the core of Fair Amazula's purpose. While this being is described to lie beyond time, there is one way that the Tarnished can confront them. Fair Amazula is constructed from the graves of the chosen beastmen, and along a crumbling path beneath the mausoleum there lies an unoccupied beast grave. The Tarnished can lay inside until time freezes, reverses, and resumes in a time before Fair Amazula was destroyed. Here, Dragon Lord Plasudasax floats in the air, motionless, with both of his heads poised upwards with an eerie calmness. The Dragon Lord, whose seat lies at the heart of the storm beyond time, is said to have been Elden Lord in the age before the Erd Tree. Once his god was fled, the Lord continued to await his return. While this god isn't explicitly identified, it's possible that this could have been the Greater Will, or perhaps a more primordial version of it. This arena is also the only location where Miquella's needle, which was crafted to ward away the meddling of the outer gods, can be used. Some things to note about the Dragon Lord's anatomy include his head shape and the number of his heads and fingers. While Plasudasax more closely resembles the ancient dragons, his head shape matches that of the modern dragons, with another similar head being found within the Dragon Temple of Fair Amazula. And while Plasudasax is shown with 2 heads, the Old Lord's talisman depicts a dragon with 4 heads, and the number of visibly severed stumps suggests that he may have once had up to 5 heads in total. As for his fingers, there are 5 on each hand, which, interestingly enough, matches the Beastmen of Fair Amazula, whose 5 fingers were symbolic of the intelligence once granted upon their kind. This, of course, was one of the traits lost by the modern dragons, as their claws have been merged into their wings. As the Tarnished approaches, Plasudasax descends from the sky and shows why he is worthy of the title of Dragon Lord. On top of the ancient dragon's red lightning, Plasudasax summons a huge spiral bolt of lightning that takes the shape of the signature bolt of Grandsax. He can also breathe golden flames, disappear into storm clouds, and shoot beams of destructive light from both of his heads. While this may be the strongest foe the Tarnished has yet to face, no dragon was ever proven to be unbeatable. After so many victories as a dragon tracker, not even this prehistoric lord should stand a chance against them. After his defeat, the remembrance of Plasudasax is all that's left behind. The final remnant that both commands great power over the dragon and holds the dying wails of the Dragon Lord, who once dwelled eternal beyond time.
I'm going to save after one. Tempo difícil. Creo que completamente. En la pantalla. No me volví a hacer. Bien, no estoy de... Qué bueno.